The space station hummed with the noise of 1,000 different species. Merchants shouted prices in languages that hurt human ears. Ships docked and undocked every few minutes, their engines making the metal floors vibrate. This was Meridian 7, the biggest trading station in the outer sectors. Taeyang Kim walked through the crowded market hall with his hands in his jacket pockets. He was tired. 3 cargo runs in 5 days would do that to anyone. All he wanted was hot food and a quiet corner to eat it. The other species on the station always found humans amusing. Too soft, they said. Too emotional. Too quick to help others even when it cost them. Taeyang had heard it all before. He did not care much anymore. He found a small food vendor run by a dendrus, a species that looked like walking trees with too many branches. The owner nodded at him and prepared the simple meal Taeyang always ordered. Rice and vegetables. Nothing fancy. As he waited, loud laughter erupted from the common area nearby. A group of Vrelian merchants were celebrating something. The Vrelians looked like large reptiles that walked on 2 legs. They had scales that shimmered under the station lights and teeth too sharp for comfort. Taeyang tried to ignore them, but one of them spotted him. "Human!" Captain Kim, the largest Vrelian, called out. His name was Gorthax, and he was known for cruel jokes. "Come, we have something for you." Taeyang sighed. He wanted to refuse, but the Vrelians were blocking the path back to his ship. Better to deal with them quickly and leave. He walked over to their table, where bottles of strange alcohol covered every surface. "What do you want?" Taeyang asked. "We heard about you, human," Gorthax said, his voice loud enough for half the station to hear. "You help lost causes, yes? Broken ships, sick animals, failing businesses. Always helping, always caring." The other Vrelians laughed like this was the funniest thing in the galaxy. "If you have a point, make it," Taeyang said flatly. Gorthax grinned, showing all his sharp teeth. "We have a gift for you. The perfect lost cause." He clapped his hands twice. 2 smaller Vrelians dragged something forward. Someone, a figure in chains. The chains rattled on the metal floor. The figure wore robes that might have been beautiful once, but were now torn and dirty. Long silver hair covered her face. She did not look up. She did not move except to breathe. "This," Gorthax announced proudly, "is Narration. Does that name mean anything to you, human?" Taeyang stared. He knew that name. Everyone in the outer sectors knew it. Narration had been the empress of the Luminari Empire. The Luminari were a powerful species, tall and elegant, with skin that glowed faintly in darkness. Their empire had controlled 12 star systems. Then came the Civil War. Brother against sister, fleet against fleet. The empire tore itself apart. The empress had vanished. Everyone assumed she was dead. 3 cycles ago, her empire fell. Gorthax continued, enjoying his story. Her own people betrayed her. She ran like a coward. We found her in a slave market on Vorton 5, bought her for less than a cargo container of scrap metal. The Vrelians roared with laughter. "So here, human, take her. Another lost cause for your collection." The common area had gone quiet. Other species watched to see what the human would do. Some looked amused. Others looked uncomfortable. Nobody helped. That was not how things worked in the galaxy. The strong took what they wanted. The weak suffered. That was the natural order. Taeyang looked at the chained figure. She finally raised her head. Her face was thin, marked with scars, but her eyes still burned with something fierce. Pride, maybe? Or anger. The faint glow of Luminari skin was dim but still there. She looked at him like she expected him to laugh too. "Take the chains off," Taeyang said quietly. Gorthax blinked. "What?" I said. "Take the chains off." Taeyang's voice was calm but firm. "But she is a slave." "A gift. You cannot just... You gave her to me, right?" Taeyang interrupted. "So she is mine now, and I do not keep slaves. Take the chains off." The Vrelian's face twisted with confusion and anger. "You are making a fool of yourself, human. She is nothing. Worthless. She..." Taeyang moved fast. He pulled a plasma cutter from his tool belt and sliced through the chains in 3 quick cuts. The metal fell away with a loud crash. Nari stumbled but did not fall. She stared at him with wide eyes. "Can you walk?" Taiyang asked her. She nodded slowly, still not speaking. "Then come with me. You need food and rest." He turned to leave. "Wait." A security officer pushed through the crowd. Commander Vorath, a Vex with 4 arms and armor plating on his chest. "Captain Kim, you cannot just take her. She is a political refugee. There are rules, procedures. She is a person," Taiyang said. "Not a piece of cargo. I'm offering her sanctuary on my ship. Unless you have a law against that?" Vorath's 4 eyes narrowed. "Harboring a fallen empress could bring trouble. Her enemies might come looking. The Coalition does not want complications." "Then the Coalition should not have let her be sold in a slave market," Taiyang shot back. "I am taking her to my ship. If anyone has a problem with that, they can file a complaint." He looked at Nari. "Can you walk?" He asked again. She found her voice. It was rough from not being used. "Why are you doing this?" "Because it is the right thing to do," Taiyang said simply. "Now come on. My ship is not far." He started walking. After a moment, Nari followed. Her legs were shaky, but she kept moving. The crowd parted for them. Behind them, Gorthak shouted something angry in his own language, but Taiyang ignored it. They walked through the station corridors in silence. Nari kept glancing at him like she expected a trap. Like this kindness was just another cruel joke waiting to reveal itself. Taiyang said nothing. He just led her to Bay 47, where his ship waited. The Morning Star was not impressive. It was a small cargo vessel, old but well-maintained. Taiyang had owned it for 6 years. He typed in the access code and the ramp lowered with a hiss of hydraulics. "This is my ship," he said. "You can stay here as long as you need. There's a spare cabin, second door on the left. The shower works. There's food in the galley. Help yourself." Nari stood at the bottom of the ramp. Her hands trembled. "I do not understand. What do you want from me?" Taiyang looked at her seriously. "Nothing. I want nothing from you. You are free. You decide what happens next." For the first time in 3 years, Nari Vishan felt something break inside her. Not in a bad way. Something hard and painful that she had built around her heart began to crack. She did not cry. Luminary royalty did not cry. But her voice shook when she spoke. "I have nothing to give you." "I am not asking for anything," Taiyang said gently. He walked up the ramp. "Come inside. You are safe here." After a long moment, Nari followed him into the ship. The ramp closed behind them, shutting out the harsh lights of the station. For the first time in a very long time, Nari felt like she could breathe. The first 2 days, Nari did not leave her cabin. Taiyang brought food to her door 3 times a day. Sometimes she took it, sometimes she did not. He never pushed. He just left the tray and walked away. On the 3rd day, he found her in the galley at dawn. She was staring at the stars through the viewport, her thin frame wrapped in a blanket he had left for her. She looked like a ghost. "Could not sleep?" Taiyang asked softly. She did not look at him. "I have not slept well in 3 years." He nodded and started making tea. The ship's kitchen was small but functional. Everything in the Morning Star was like that, simple, practical, nothing fancy. He poured 2 cups and set one near her. She looked at it like it might be poison. "It is just tea," he said. "From Earth, my mother used to make it. Why do you trust me?" Nari asked suddenly. "I could kill you. Steal your ship. I was trained in combat since childhood." "You could," Taiyang agreed. He sat down across from her and sipped his tea. "But you will not. How do you know?" "Because you are not that person," he said simply. "And even if you were, I would rather give you a chance than treat you like a criminal before you do anything wrong." Nari finally looked at him. Really looked at him. Human faces were strange to her. They showed every emotion so clearly. His eyes were honest, kind. She had not seen kindness in so long that it hurt to look at. "You are a fool," she said quietly. "Probably," Taiyang admitted with a small smile. "Drink your tea. It is getting cold." She picked up the cup with shaking hands and drank. It was warm and bitter and good. That afternoon, Taiyang's sister Hannah came aboard. She was younger than him, with short dark hair and sharp eyes. She worked as the navigator for the Morning Star. When she saw Nari sitting in the common area, she stopped. "So the rumors are true," Hannah said. "You really brought her here." "Hannah, this is Nari, my sister Hannah." Hannah studied the former empress for a long moment. Then she shrugged. "Well, welcome aboard. Try not to bring assassins to the ship, please." "I just cleaned the floors." Nari blinked. "You are not afraid of me?" "Should I be?" Hannah asked. "You look half dead." "No offense." "When is the last time you ate a proper meal?" "I do not remember." "Right, well, we are fixing that." "Come on." Hannah grabbed Nari's arm gently and pulled her toward the galley. "I make excellent stew. You will eat, or my brother will give me those sad puppy eyes he does." For the first time in years, Nari felt the corner of her mouth twitch. Almost a smile, almost. The next person she met was Kiwan, the ship's engineer. He was a tall man with oil stains on his clothes and a constant smile. He was fixing something in the engine room when Nari wandered in, curious about the ship's design. "Oh, hello," Kiwan said cheerfully. "You must be Nari. Taiyang told me about you. Beautiful ship, is it not?" "Well, beautiful to me. Most people think she is a rust bucket, but I have kept her flying for 6 years. Nari looked around the engine room. It was clean and organized. Every tool in its place. Every wire carefully labeled. "You care for this ship," she observed. "Of course." "She is family," Kiwan said. "Everything deserves care. Ships, people, dreams, everything." He went back to his work, humming a tune. Nari stood there, watching him work. These humans confused her. They treated everything with such warmth, even machines. Even fallen empresses. 4 days after arriving, the Morning Star left Meridian 7. They had a cargo run to a mining colony 3 systems away. Taiyang asked Nari if she wanted to help with the navigation. She refused at first. But eventually, boredom and old instincts made her accept. She sat at the sensor console while Hannah plotted the course. The journey would take them through an asteroid field. It was not dangerous if you were careful, but it required attention. "Watch the left quadrant," Hannah instructed. "Large rocks sometimes drift into the flight path. Call out if you see anything bigger than a shuttle." Nari nodded. She had commanded fleets once. Tracking asteroids should be simple. But her hands shook as she worked the controls. What if she failed? What if she caused damage? She had failed her entire empire. She had failed her people. "Relax," Taiyang said from the pilot seat. "You are doing fine. How do you know?" Nari snapped. "You are not even looking at my screen. I can hear it in your breathing. You are tense. Just relax. Trust yourself." Halfway through the asteroid field, the sensors screamed. A massive rock, hidden behind 2 smaller ones, was drifting directly into their path. Nari froze for 1 terrible second. Then training took over. "Hard right, now," she shouted. Taiyang did not hesitate. He trusted her completely. He threw the ship into a sharp turn. The Morning Star groaned, her engines straining. Metal scraped against rock. Alarms blared. But they made it through. Silence filled the cockpit. Then Hannah whistled. "Nice catch." That would have torn off our port side. Taiyang looked back at Nari. She was breathing hard, her glowing skin brighter with adrenaline. "Good work," he said simply. Nari stared at her hands. They had stopped shaking. For the first time since her fall, she had done something that mattered. Something useful. The weight on her chest felt a little lighter. That night she found Taiyang in the observation deck. He was reading something on a datapad. She sat down across from him. "Why do you trust me?" she asked again. It was the question that would not leave her mind. Taiyang looked up. Do you want the simple answer or the real one? The real one. He thought for a moment. Because worth is not something you earn. It is something you have just by existing. You are a person. That means you deserve dignity, kindness, a chance. I do not care if you were an empress or a slave. You deserve those things. That is a very human way of thinking, Nari said. Maybe, but it is how I think. Nari was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. My empire fell because I made mistakes. I trusted the wrong people. I was too proud to see the betrayal coming. Thousands died because of my failures. And you have punished yourself for 3 years, Taiyang said gently. Is that not enough? It will never be enough. Then you will carry that weight forever, he said. Or you can choose to do something different. You can choose to build something new. Not an empire. Something better. What could be better than an empire? A home, a community. A future where your people are safe and free. He looked at her seriously. There are still Luminari out there, right? Scattered across the galaxy? Nari nodded. The pain in her eyes was raw. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Most are slaves now. Or refugees. Or dead, then help them, Taiyang said. Not as an empress. As a person who cares. I have no power. No resources. No army. You have me, Taiyang said. And Hannah and Kiwan, we will help you. Why would you do that? He smiled. Because it is the right thing to do. Later that week, they intercepted a news broadcast. A Luminari resistance cell had been found on a remote moon. The warlord who had taken over the Luminari territories, a brutal leader named Vextalon, had wiped them out. Only children survived. The broadcast showed their faces, young, terrified, alone. Nari watched the broadcast 3 times. Then she went to her cabin and did not come out for hours. When she finally emerged, her eyes were red but dry. She found Taiyang in the cargo bay. I want to help them, she said. The children. The refugees. All of them. But I do not know how. Taiyang put down the crate he was moving. Then we figure it out together. 1 step at a time. It will be dangerous. Probably. We could die, maybe. You would risk everything for people you do not even know? Taiyang looked at her steadily. Yes, would you? Nari took a deep breath. For the first time in 3 years, she felt something she thought was dead. Hope. It was small and fragile and terrifying. But it was there. Yes, she said. I would. Then we start planning, Taiyang said. Tomorrow we reach the mining colony. After we deliver the cargo, we will use the payment to buy supplies. Then we find those children. Nari nodded. As she walked away, she felt different, lighter. The chains were gone from her wrists. Now, slowly, they were coming off her heart too. That night she slept for 6 hours. It was the most she had slept in 3 years. The rescue operation started small. Too small, Nari thought. But Taiyang insisted they had to be careful. They used the payment from the cargo run to buy emergency supplies. Food, medical kits, blankets. Then they reached out to contacts. Taiyang knew many traders across the outer sectors. Some owed him favors. Others just respected him. He called them one by one, asking if they had seen any Luminari refugees. The answers came slowly. A family hiding on a farming moon. 3 workers sold into a mining operation. A group of children lost on a crowded station. Each time they got a lead, they went. The first rescue was the hardest. The family was on a moon called Torvash, living in an abandoned shelter. The father saw the morning star land and immediately tried to run, thinking they were slavers. Nari had to step out of the ship first, her glowing skin unmistakable even in the dim light. I am Nari Vishan, she called out. I am here to help. The father stopped. His wife grabbed his arm. They stared at her like she was a ghost. The Empress? The wife whispered. Not anymore, Nari said. Just someone who wants you to be safe. They came aboard carefully, suspicious and scared. But when they saw the food, The clean beds, the kindness in the human crew's faces, they broke down crying. They had been hiding for 2 years. The second rescue was at a mining station. 3 luminari were working in dangerous conditions, legally bought from a slave auction. Tiang could not just take them. That would be theft. So he bought their contracts. It cost most of their savings. Hannah argued it was too much money. "We need those funds for supplies," she said. "We need them alive more," Taiyang replied. Kiwan agreed. They paid the price? The 3 miners could not believe they were free. One of them, a young woman named Ayla, hugged Nari so hard they both fell over by the end of the first month. 7 luminari were living on the Morning Star. The ship was too small for that many people. The cargo bay became sleeping quarters. The galley ran out of food constantly. But nobody complained. For the first time, these refugees felt safe. Nari changed during this time. At first, she tried to stay in the background. She did not want to lead. She did not want to command. But the refugees looked at her with such hope. They asked her advice. They trusted her. Slowly, she began to accept it. She worked with Hannah to plan safe travel routes, avoiding systems controlled by Vextalon-S forces. She helped Kiwan retrofit the ship, adding extra sleeping spaces and improving the life support systems. She even learned some basic human cooking from Taiyang, though she was terrible at it. "This rice is burned," Ayla said one evening, trying not to laugh. "I am an empress." "Not a chef," Nari replied, but there was a smile on her face. A real one. The network grew. Other ships started helping. A Dendris medical vessel heard about their work and offered to transport refugees safely. A small Vex cargo company donated supplies. Even some Vrelians, shamed by Gorthax's cruelty, sent funds anonymously, but as they saved more people, the danger increased. Vextalon-S agents started noticing. Slaves were disappearing. Refugees were vanishing from stations. Someone was organizing them. The warlord did not like it. Then came the warning. A message arrived on a secure channel. It was from someone who called himself a friend. He said Vextalon had put a bounty on the Morning Star, 50,000 credits for the ship, 100,000 if they brought Nari alive. "We should stop," Hannah said at the emergency meeting. "This is too dangerous." "We cannot stop," Ayla argued. "There are still hundreds of our people out there, and we will be dead if we continue." Hannah shot back. They all looked at Taiyang. He was the captain. The decision was his. He looked at Nari. "What do you think?" he asked. Nari stood up. She looked at each person in the room. The 7 luminari refugees. Kiwan, who had worked for 3 days straight to keep the ship running. Hannah, who was afraid but trying not to show it. And Taiyang, who always asked her opinion, who always treated her like an equal. "I think," Nari said slowly, "that we have 2 choices. We can hide and hope Vextalon forgets about us. Or we can show him that we are not afraid, that every luminari he enslaves will eventually be freed, that his empire of fear is ending." "That is suicide," Hannah said. "Perhaps," Nari agreed. "But I have been dead for 3 years. This is the first time I have felt alive." She looked at Taiyang. "You once told me that worth is not earned. It is given by existing. But I think there is more. Worth is also what you do with the chance you are given. You gave me a chance. I want to use it to help my people." Taiyang smiled. "Then we continue. But we need to be smarter. We cannot keep using the same ship for everything. We need allies. Real ones." Over the next 2 months, they built a network. Tang reached out to human diplomatic channels. Earth's government was still new to the galactic community, but they believed in freedom. They offered quiet support. Not soldiers, but information. They passed along slave auction schedules. They warned about Vextalon-S fleet movements. Other species joined too. The Dendris medical ships became regular partners. A small fleet of independent traders agreed to help transport refugees. Word spread. Quietly, carefully, the resistance grew. By the 3rd month, they had rescued 28 luminari. The Morning Star could not hold them all anymore. They needed a base, a safe place. Tiang found it on a moon called Sanctuary 9. It was in neutral space, unclaimed by any government. Perfect for refugees, they landed there with all 28 luminari and began building. Prefab shelters went up first, then a medical station, then a school for the children. It was rough and basic, but it was home, the coalition's bureaucracy noticed. Ambassador Jorah, a human politician, called Taiyang directly. "You are causing problems," Jorah said over the video link. His face looked angry. "Humanity is new to the coalition. We cannot afford to look like troublemakers." "We are helping people," Taiyang replied calmly. "You are interfering in territorial politics. Vextalan may be brutal, but he controls legitimate systems. If we oppose him openly, we risk war. So we should let people suffer because it is inconvenient. I am warning you, Captain Kim. Stop this before it gets worse." Tang ended the call. The 4th month brought disaster. They learned about a large group of luminary children on a slave market planet called Vorkesh. 40 children. It was too good to pass up. They planned carefully. Kiwan would create a distraction. Hannah would hack the security systems. Tiang and Nari would extract the children. It went wrong from the start. The slave market had been warned. Someone had betrayed them. When Taiyang and Nari entered the holding facility, armed guards were waiting. "Run!" Taiyang shouted, but there were too many guards. They surrounded them. Nari fought like the warrior she once was, taking down 3 guards with brutal efficiency. But more kept coming. Taiyang grabbed a metal pipe and stood back to back with her. "I am sorry," Nari said as they fought. "I should have seen this coming." "Save the apologies," Taiyang grunted, blocking a blow. "Just keep fighting." They were losing. Taiyang felt a club hit his shoulder. His arm went numb. Another hit his leg. He fell. A guard raised his weapon to strike again. Then Nari was there. She moved like lightning, like fury, like a goddess of war. She fought with everything she had. Not for herself. For him. For the children. For every luminari who suffered, the guards fell. One by one, they fell. When it was over, Nari stood among the unconscious bodies, breathing hard. Blood dripped from cuts on her arms. But she was standing. Tiang tried to get up and fell again. His leg was broken. "The children," he gasped. "I will get them," Nari said. Her voice was hard, cold, the voice of an empress giving commands. "Stay here." She found the children locked in a room. 43, not 40. All terrified. When they saw her glowing in the darkness, they gasped. "I am taking you home," she told them. "Follow me. Stay quiet. Stay close." They obeyed. They followed her through the facility, past the unconscious guards, to where Kiwan had the ship ready. Hannah helped load them aboard. Ayla and the other refugees helped secure them. Nari went back for Taiyang. She found him trying to stand on his broken leg. "You are an idiot," she said. "I know," he replied with a weak smile. She put his arm over her shoulders and helped him to the ship. They took off under weapons fire, but Kiwan was an excellent pilot. They escaped. On the flight back to Sanctuary 9, Nari sat by Taiyang in the medical bay. Kiwan had set his leg, but it would take weeks to heal properly. The children were in the cargo bay, finally eating hot food and sleeping safely. "You saved us," Taiyang said quietly. "You saved me first," Nari replied. 3 months ago, I was nothing. You made me remember what I was. What I could be. And what is that?" She looked at him, her eyes glowing in the dim light. "Someone who fights back?" Tiang spent 3 weeks recovering. His leg healed slowly, even with advanced medical treatment. During that time, Sanctuary 9 grew. More ships arrived with refugees. The small settlement became a village. 78 luminari now lived there, plus volunteers from other species who came to help. But the coalition could not ignore them anymore. A formal summons arrived. Tiang and Nari were ordered to appear before the Galactic Coalition Council, to explain their actions, to face judgment. "They will shut us down," Hannah said, reading the summons. They will order us to return the refugees. Then we refuse, Isla said fiercely. She had become one of the leaders among the rescued Luminari. We will fight. Fighting the entire coalition is suicide, Kiwan pointed out. We need a different approach. Nari had been quiet through the whole discussion. Finally, she spoke. We go, we speak, we make them understand. They will not listen, Hannah argued. Then we make them, Nari said firmly. I have hidden long enough. It is time they saw me. Not as a fallen empress, as someone fighting for her people. The journey to the coalition headquarters took 5 days. The building was massive, floating in space, a symbol of unity among hundreds of species. Ships from every corner of the galaxy docked there. Taeyang walked with a cane now. Nari walked beside him, wearing simple robes that Isla had made for her. Nothing fancy. Nothing imperial. Just clean and dignified, the council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of representatives sat in curved rows, each representing their species. At the center was the speaker's platform. The current speaker was a Vex named Gorath, known for being fair but traditional. Taeyang and Nari stood before them. Every eye in the chamber watched them, some with curiosity, some with hostility, some with pity. Speaker Gorath spoke first. His voice echoed through the chamber. Captain Taeyang Kim of Earth, Nari Vashan, former Empress of the Luminari, you are charged with interfering in territorial sovereignty, illegal transport of registered workers, and inciting unrest. How do you respond? Nari stepped forward. For a moment she was silent. Then she spoke, and her voice carried to every corner of the chamber. I am Nari Vashan. 3 years ago I failed my people. I was proud, I was blind. My empire fell because of my mistakes. I do not deny this, I do not run from it. She paused. After my fall, I was sold, chained, treated like an object. I wanted to die, then this human found me, he broke my chains. He asked nothing in return. He showed me something I had forgotten. And what is that? Speaker Gorath asked. That worth does not come from power. It comes from what you do with the chances you are given. She looked around the chamber. There are thousands of my people scattered across this galaxy. Slaves. Refugees, they suffer every day. Not because they are criminals, not because they deserve it, but because they are weak. Because the strong take what they want. Because the coalition follows laws instead of conscience. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some angry, some thoughtful. A representative from the Vrelian delegation stood up. It was Gorthax, the merchant who had given her to Taeyang. You speak of suffering? You caused a civil war. Millions died. You dare to ask for sympathy? I do not ask for sympathy, Nari said coldly. I ask for justice. Yes, I made mistakes. But the Luminari who are enslaved now, the children working in mines, the families hiding in abandoned stations, they are not guilty. They do not deserve this fate. Taeyang stepped forward then, his cane clicking on the floor. Speaker Gorath, council members, I am a simple cargo pilot. I do not understand complicated politics. But I understand right and wrong. The coalition has laws against slavery. Yet slaves are bought and sold in coalition space every day. The coalition preaches unity. Yet when refugees beg for help, they are turned away. We cannot solve every problem in the galaxy. Someone shouted from the council. No, Taeyang agreed. But you can solve this one. Right now, you can recognize the suffering of the Luminari people. You can sanction the territories controlled by Vextalon until he releases his slaves. You can offer protection to refugees. He looked around the chamber. Or you can hide behind laws and procedures while people die. That choice defines what kind of civilization we are. We are a civilization of order. Another representative shouted, Not bleeding hearts. Order? Taeyang's voice grew sharper. You call it order when children are sold. When families are torn apart, we judge civilizations not by their power, but by how they treat the powerless. That is what my species believes. Maybe we are young. Maybe we are naive. But we would rather be naive and kind than wise and cruel. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some representatives agreed. Many did not. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Speaker Gorath called for order. This council will vote. he announced. First, on sanctions against Vextalon-S territories. Second, on protections for Luminari refugees. Third, on whether Captain Kim's actions constitute a crime. The votes came in slowly. The sanctions passed by a narrow margin. Protection for refugees passed with more support. The charge against Taiyang was dismissed. It was not everything they wanted, but it was something. It was hope. As they left the chamber, Ambassador Jorah caught up with them. He looked embarrassed. I owe you an apology, Captain. I was wrong to try to stop you. You were trying to protect Earth's interests, Taiyang said. I understand. Still, what you did took courage. Jorah offered his hand. Humanity supports you. Officially now. Over the next 3 months, everything changed. With coalition protection, they could work openly. Ships brought refugees to Sanctuary 9 without fear. Donations arrived from sympathetic species. The Dendris built a hospital. The Vex sent engineers to help construct permanent buildings. Other species who had suffered under various oppressors saw what was happening. They came too, not just Luminari anymore. A colony of Vex engineers who had been exploited by corporations. A flotilla of Dendris medical ships that wanted to help. Even some Vrelian merchants who were ashamed of how their species treated others. Sanctuary-9 became new Luminara, not an empire. A community. A symbol. Nari worked 18 hours a day. She helped plan the settlement layout. She mediated disputes. She comforted the traumatized. She taught children. Every day she was doing what an empress should have done all along. Serving her people, not ruling them. Taiyang worked beside her, though his legs still hurt sometimes. He organized supply runs. He met with coalition officials. He trained others to pilot rescue missions. One evening they stood together on a hill overlooking New Luminara. The settlement glowed softly in the darkness, lights from hundreds of homes. Children played in the streets. Markets bustled. It looked like peace. We are doing it, Nari said quietly. We are building something real. You are building it, Taiyang corrected. I am just helping, she shook her head. You gave me this chance. You saw something in me when I could not see it myself. I saw what was always there. Nari was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been on her mind for weeks. When this is stable, will you leave? Return to Earth? Tiang looked at her, surprised. Why would I leave? This is not your fight. These are not your people. Yes, they are, he said firmly. Anyone who needs help is my people. That is the human way, he smiled. Besides, someone needs to make sure you eat properly. You still forget meals when you work. Nari laughed. It was a sound she had not made in years before meeting him. You are impossible. So I have been told. But their peace did not last. News arrived by emergency transmission. Vextalon was not accepting defeat. The sanctions hurt him, but they also made him angry. Very angry. He was mobilizing his fleet, not for raids. For war. The target was New Luminara. He would destroy it. Destroy the symbol of hope it represented. Destroy Nari. Kiwan calculated the numbers. His fleet will be here in 2 weeks. We have 40 ships. He has 200. We cannot win. Then we evacuate, Hana said. And go where? Ayla demanded. Back to hiding? Back to running? We do not have to win, Nari said slowly. Everyone looked at her. We just have to survive. And make him bleed for every meter he takes. Taiyang nodded. We dig in. We prepare. We ask our allies for help. And we show Vextalon that some things are worth fighting for. They had 2 weeks to prepare for war. 2 weeks to turn a refugee settlement into a fortress. 2 weeks to decide if they would run or stand. They chose to stand. The 2 weeks passed like a storm. Every hour brought new preparations. New Luminara transformed from a peaceful settlement into a fortress. Trenches were dug. Shield generators were installed. Every ship was armed with whatever weapons they could find or build. The Dendris brought medical supplies and trauma teams. The Vex sent military advisors. Earth's government quietly sent advanced sensor arrays and tactical computers. The coalition could not officially help, but individual members could. And they did. Nari barely slept. She was everywhere at once, planning defenses with the military advisors. training civilians in basic combat, organizing evacuation routes for the children if the worst happened. She moved like a force of nature, her glowing skin bright with determination. Taiyang worked beside her, coordinating the fleet. They had 63 ships now. Still nowhere near enough. But each captain pledged to fight. Not for money, not for glory. For what new Luminara represented: hope, freedom, a place where the weak could be safe. Hana managed the sensor network, tracking Vextalen's approach. Kiwan worked miracles in the engine bays, keeping ships running beyond their limits. Isla led the civilian defense force, teaching refugees how to fight. On the 13th day, Vextalen's fleet appeared at the edge of the system. 200 warships, each one larger and better armed than anything the defenders had. The sensor screens showed them like a swarm of insects. Blotting out the stars, Nari stood in the command center looking at the display. Taiyang stood beside her. Around them, dozens of people worked frantically at consoles. "We should evacuate the children now," Hannah said quietly. "While we still can." "No," Nari said. "If we start evacuating, panic will spread. We hold for as long as we can. If we must evacuate, we do it in order, calmly, with dignity." The fleet moved closer. One day out. Taiyang sent a message to Vextalen offering to negotiate. The warlord responded with laughter and a simple message: "Surrender the traitor empress and I might let the others live." "He is lying," Isla said. "He will kill everyone." "I know," Nari replied. She looked at Taiyang. "I will surrender. It is the only way to save them." "No," Taiyang said firmly. "This is not your decision." "Yes, it is. You are part of this crew, this community, and we do not abandon our own." He looked at everyone in the command center. "We fight, together, all of us." A cheer went up. Small, but real. These people had been broken and scared. Now they chose to stand. The battle began at dawn. Vextalen's fleet attacked in waves. The defenders met them with everything they had. Shield generators flared. Weapons fire lit up the darkness. Ships exploded on both sides. The Morning Star, piloted by Kiwan, led hit-and-run attacks. Small, fast, deadly. They could not match the enemy's firepower, but they could be unpredictable. Human tactics. Guerrilla warfare in space. Nari commanded the defense from the ground. She had fought in wars before. She knew strategy. She knew how to read a battle. She directed ships where they were needed most. She called out enemy patterns. She turned their defense into a living thing, adapting and responding. Tyng coordinated with the fleet captains, his calm voice holding everyone together. "Hold formation. Focus fire on their lead ships. Make them pay for every meter." The battle raged for 6 hours. The defenders lost ships. Good people died. But they held. They made Vextalen's fleet bleed. Then the warlord changed tactics. He pulled back his main fleet and sent bombers directly at New Luminara. If he could not break the fleet, he would destroy the settlement itself. "Shields at 60%. Someone shouted. "Divert all power to shields." Nari ordered. The bombers came in waves. The ground defenses shot down many. But not all. Explosions rocked the settlement. Buildings collapsed. People screamed. The hospital took a direct hit. The Dendris medical teams worked through the chaos, pulling injured people from rubble. "Shields at 40%. They are targeting the generators," Hana shouted. "If those go down, we are defenseless." Nari made a decision. A terrible, necessary decision. Pull back all ships to defend the generators. Forget the fleet. Protect the ground. "That will leave us exposed to their main guns?" A captain protested over the comm. "I know. Do it anyway." The ships pulled back. Vextalen saw his chance. His flagship moved forward, charging its main cannon. One shot from that weapon could level half the settlement. Taiyang saw it on the sensors. He looked at Nari, she looked at him. They both knew what had to be done. "I am taking the Morning Star," Taiyang said. Not alone, Nari replied. We go together. You need to lead the people. Isla can lead them. I am coming with you. They ran to the ship. Kiwan was already in the engine room, pushing the old vessel beyond her limits. Hannah jumped into the co-pilot's seat. You are both idiots. Let us go be idiots together. The Morning Star launched from New Luminara. She was small, old, damaged from earlier fighting, but she flew true. Taiyang pushed her toward the flagship. Vextalon S cannon was charging. They had maybe 2 minutes before it fired. 2 minutes to cross the distance. 2 minutes to do the impossible. We are not going to make it, Hana said, reading the numbers. Yes, we are, Taiyang replied. He looked at Nari. When we get close, transfer all power to forward shields. We are going to ram them. That is suicide, she said. Maybe, but it will work. He smiled. Trust me? Nari smiled back. After all these months, after everything, the question had changed. It was not, why do you trust me? Anymore. It was, do you trust me? And the answer was simple, always. The Morning Star accelerated. Weapons fire from the flagship tore at their shields. Alarms screamed. Hull breaches opened in 3 sections. But they kept flying. Vextalon S cannon reached full charge. It began to fire. The energy built up, ready to unleash devastation. The Morning Star hit the flagship's primary cannon. The old cargo ship, moving at full speed, tore through armor and into the charging mechanism. The explosion was massive. The cannon overloaded. Energy feedback surged through the flagship systems. In the final seconds, Taiyang grabbed Nari's hand. Thank you, he said, for letting me help. Thank you, she replied, for seeing me. They ejected in escape pods. The Morning Star exploded, taking the flagship's entire forward section with it. Secondary explosions rippled through Vextalon's ship. The mighty warship began to break apart. On the ground, everyone watched in shock. Then Isla's voice came over the comm. The flagship is down. Vextalon is dead. All ships pressed the attack. Without their leader, the enemy fleet began to falter. Ships broke formation. Some retreated. Others surrendered. The battle turned. By evening, it was over. Vextalon's fleet was destroyed or scattered. New Luminara had held. The escape pods were recovered. Tiang and Nari were pulled from the wreckage, bruised and burned but alive. Kiwan and Hannah survived too. The Morning Star was gone, but her crew lived. The celebrations lasted for days. The galaxy watched. What had seemed impossible happened. A refugee settlement defended itself against a warlord's fleet. And the Galactic Coalition sent an official delegation. This time they came with respect. They formally recognized New Luminara as a sovereign state. Independent, free, protected by coalition law, but the biggest change was internal. The Luminari gathered in the main square where a temporary council hall had been erected. They wanted to crown Nari, to make her empress again. She stood before them and spoke. I was an empress once. I failed. I will not make that mistake again. You do not need a ruler. You need a voice. Many voices. She established a council. 10 members, elected by the people. She would serve as first counselor, but with no more power than any other member. Laws would be made together. Decisions would be shared. This was not an empire. It was a democracy. The humans taught them the process. Taiyang helped draft their constitution. It was simple, clear, based on the principles that had saved them. Worth is inherent. Power comes from service. Leaders serve the people, not rule them. Earth officially recognized New Luminara. Other species followed. The small refugee settlement became a symbol across the galaxy, proof that the fallen could rise. That kindness was not weakness. That different species could build something together. 5 years passed. New Luminara grew into a thriving city. Luminari came from across the galaxy to settle there. So did others. Dextendrus, even some Vrelians. It became known as the Coalition's Heart, a place where anyone could find safety. A statue was erected in the central plaza. It showed two figures, a human man and a Luminari woman standing side by side, their hands clasped, looking toward the stars. The plaque beneath it was written in multiple languages. In Korean it said, "They saw what we could be, not what we had lost." Taeyang no longer piloted cargo ships. He served as Earth's permanent ambassador to New Luminara. His days were spent in meetings, in planning sessions, in building bridges between species. It was exhausting, but it mattered. Nari worked beside him, not as an empress, but as a leader who earned her place every day. She still had nightmares about the Civil War, about her failures. But now she had something else too, purpose, hope, a future. One evening, they stood together on the same hill where they had stood years before. New Luminara spread below them, its lights like stars reflected on Earth. The city was 10 times larger now. Ships came and went constantly. Children of a dozen species played in the streets. "Do you ever regret it?" Nari asked.